What's up, everyone? Vince Ingenito here with IGN, and I'm sitting here right now with Sven from Larian Studios. Sven, how you doing today? You're the creative director and founder of the studio. Is that right?
I'm doing great, thank you, Vince. Yeah, so
awesome. So we're here to play a little game called Divinity.
Yeah.
Original Sin, very interesting looking. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the thesis of this game is, like what it's supposed to be and what it's about?
Divinity Original Sin is a kind of a back to the roots RPG, but with modern production values. That's how we call it. And in it, you control a party of up to 4, and you have a very large adventure ahead of you in a very interactive world, also a very reactive world. Like for instance, here I'm in a shop and I'm fooling around with the items that don't belong to me, and so you'll see that the characters are reacting pretty much to everything I do. So I'm terribly sorry about what I did here, and you see that her attitude is dropping also. See that little attitude?
Yeah, right there at the top. Yeah.
-10, so I shouldn't be doing that.
Well,
but
you should be doing that. That's the most fun things, is the things you're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it's well, she might be very angry, and actually I kind of like this particular character. She's a great trader, and she brings in very nice fresh goods.
So if you piss her off, then you could expect maybe that she won't trade with you anymore.
I might end up in jail, actually.
Okay.
I might be in jail. She might attack me. It depends. She might increase her prices. She might not want to talk to me anymore. It really depends the level of interaction and bad things that I do to her that are going to have an impact on her attitude.
Very cool.
Let me give you another example of how the game can react to stuff that you're doing. Here, for instance, I'm meeting a guy named Brandon, and I can ask him about his life and so forth. And eventually he's going to leave, I hope. And then as he leaves, I'm going to close the door. With Medora here. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically splitting up my party. So I have a party of 4. This is Medora here, and she's going to lock the door. And the reason we are locking the door is because I'm going to go stand behind him, take my bow, and well, from this side. So you see, he quickly reacted, but I one-shotted him with using a barrage, and so he basically died, which means that I now can start stealing his keys and his gold. And nobody saw it because I locked the door. If I would have done this in the middle of town, I would have had trouble for sure.
Very sneaky, Sven. Very sneaky. That guy had a family, That's not very nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. He had a key, and I wanted the key. It's going to help me later on in the game. So I'm going to put them together again so that they follow each other. And I'm going to regroup my party. So I'm going to head with Medora over to my other character here, who I named Scarlet.
Gotcha.
And you see a little exclamation mark. It means that they have something to talk about. So this game has something called Cooperative Dialogues. And it allows you to roleplay, actually, your characters. So here I have Roderick saying, another innocent has fallen. I mean, of course, he just murdered him. And I can say, as Scarlet, it's a terrible tragedy. And he says, yeah, civilian losses are unavoidable. And so that has an impact on who these characters are and how they are going to evolve over time. And like this, you have plenty of these cooperative dialogues. We'll see a couple of examples.
And if you were playing cooperatively with another player, which you can, then one of you would be making the dialogue choices for one of them, and the other player would be making the choices for the other. So you could kind of have this almost competitive dialogue system.
That's correct. So the dialogues that you have with one another can get you into big discussions. So it's actually possible to charm, intimidate, reason one another in multiplayer or even in single player. So you can actually be discussing with yourself. Or alternatively, if you're playing a single player, what you could do is you could ask at character creation for an AI to take over one of the characters, and then he would be discussing with you. And so you can set the personality. So you can have an AI which is a psychopath, for instance, or an AI who is extremely loyal to you.
Which is really cool because it makes even the single player like very dynamic. You're still playing with 2 characters, but the psychology and personality of that character can be different every time you play.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's a lot of fun if you do it in cooperative multiplayer. I mean, it's discussing. It's really like a pen and paper RPG basically that you're playing. Like here we have an example of a charm, intimidate, reason situation. So I actually happen to know that this is charm is the right way here to get through. These are a bunch of guys named Immaculates, and they normally wouldn't let me through, but I managed to talk my way in.
So you in this case, you happen to know that charm is the best thing for that situation. But is there any way that the player can find that out on their own?
Yeah, actually, let me show you. We'll have a situation soon in which I can negotiate with a goblin and I'm going to do it with Roderick. So I'm going to I have cheats which are active here,
sure,
right?
Of course.
So,
and it's worth mentioning at this point that this is still a pre-alpha build. There might be some bugs that you're seeing. The game's in pre-release right now. There's still a lot of tweaking to be done. And for the sake of this presentation, you've got a little bit of extra generosity here in your inventory. So this is not how it's always going to be.
That's correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boost my perception to level 10 in this particular case, and I only have 3 attributes, so I need to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to do it. She has a helmet that gives her +1 to perception, so I'm going to put it on. So now I'm at 10. All right, and so a perception 10 level check at this particular level in the game is sufficient to see through certain things. So I'm going to go talk to this goblin trader I was telling you about, and I'll try to see if I can gain an advantage from my charm.
So what just happened real quick? I saw like the boot icon over your guys, and there's a sandstorm. What's going on there?
Yeah, so we're in a dust storm, and in a dust storm our action points are halved, and so I'm slowed basically now. So
if you're in combat, you're not gonna be able to take as many actions as quickly.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
So which is going to be incredibly annoying. You'll find out in a second. We'll have to deal with it. So I met Kadraskas here. He's a goblin trader. He's on his way to Silverglen, the village where we were, with his mount here. And as I start asking him questions, he mentioned something about a spider. So he's one of the guys who can safely navigate this area, and he knows something about the Spider Queen, which allows him to pass through. So he doesn't want to tell me. He says, I'll tell you the secret for 500 gold, but I can try to charm, intimidate, reason him again. And this time you see, unlike the previous conversation, that there are numbers next to my options here. And that's because I boosted my perception to 10, and that's sufficient to know what this character is going to be susceptible to.
Really cool. So like those numbers next to it are the bonus that you're going to get in your roll, basically. For that
exactly.
Kind of so you'll see if you go with Intimidate, you'll get a big bonus because this guy's out in the desert alone. It's easy to intimidate him.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really cool because I think it makes perception kind of like a way in the role playing sense where it means that your character has a good sense of people and a good way of understanding what's going to make people fold and what isn't. That's really neat.
That's true. So he told me that I should sweet talk the Spider Queen. So of course you may wonder, how can you talk to a Spider Queen? Well, I have this trait here, which is called Pet Pal. And if I have Pet Pal, I can talk to animals. So let's say I talk with Scarlet to Ralphie here. You see the creature seems excited, nods at me expectantly. But if I take Roderick and I talk to the creature, suddenly you see that I have an entire dialogue that pops up. So, and when I talk to Ralphie, the Warlock here, he tells me that he's being mistreated by his master, and we can make a decision about that. We can say, you know what, we'll free you. And they say, well, Roderick is going to be nice. He says, no, we bear this goblin no grudge and cannot do him harm. But Scarlet's going to say, you know what, it's our duty to free this innocent creature. And now we have a discussion. So I can try to charm, intimidate, reason Scarlet here. So let's try to reason with her. And she can try to charm me. And so Roderick gives up and she charmed him. And so that was the decision of the party, which we now have to adhere to or not if we want to.
Right, and that would happen to... you controlled both sides in this case.
Yeah.
But that would be a lot more dynamic if you had a second player you were playing with.
For sure.
You guys would
and
you have to how to do with it.
You have to realize if you're playing this like a pen and paper RPG, like in a pen and paper RPG, you have to actually deal with the consequences of the actions of the other guy.
That's right.
And this can have a very big impact over the entire game. So in this case, we shot him in the back once again. I have to stop doing that actually. Going to use an explosive arrow here on him. Mind you, I mean, this character is artificially powerful, so I am doing damage the way that you will probably not be able to do when you're playing the game. So Ralphie is very happy, thanks me, and he tells me a secret which is going to be handy for me later on. He tells me a secret about the Goblin Village, actually, how things are going on over there. And again, we can reflect on this situation. So Scarlet can say, well, you did really well in combat, you did a killing blow, and this is kind of an affection dialogue. So these kind of dialogues are going to shape the relation between our two characters, whether they like each other or not. And so here I'm going to say, you know what, yeah, I did really well. And then she says, oh, don't go that far, otherwise you might be a little bit too vain.
And then what's the, obviously down the road, how will their relationship affect gameplay or the story?
So depending on how the relation between these two evolves, you're going to have different outcomes to the storyline, definitely to the main storyline also. So I don't want to spoil it, but there are very different endings depending on how these characters relate to one another. And that's rather fun.
Cool.
And it is possible to get into a romantic relationship with one another. At certain points, you trigger sufficient likeliness of each other that the game basically asks you, do you want to take it one step further? You can have a discussion about it.
As totally happens in real life.
Yeah, there you go. So that's that's kind of stuff that happens. So we enter turn-based combat here, and I'm actually quite handicapped. I'm only one character here, so I split up my party. It's Medora here. She encountered a spider egg, and she can't even hit it because her weapon requires her 4 action points to hit, and she only has 3. And she only has 3 because of the storm that's going on. So she has to save her action points actually to the next turn before she's going to be able to use it. Luckily, the egg hasn't done anything yet, so she can hit for 4 action points, and she can try another hit. But she didn't kill it, and now she has to save it again. And now the spiders are coming out, and they're very annoying spiders actually. So the other guys are also quite handicapped. You see, in ordinary play, they would be able to move very far, but they can't get close enough to Medora right away. So
yeah, it's really taking away a lot of your options right now.
Yeah, I need to deal with a storm. Otherwise, I will never be able to deal with larger groups of creatures. So maybe what I could do, but I don't know if I don't have enough action points. So I'm going to try already to do an explosive arrow, but it's too far, so I need to get closer. So he's burrowing now, and he is going to attack my mages, of course, instead of my warriors.
That's so rough, because you always want your warriors in the front to protect your mages. So his ability to kind of bypass your meat shields is that's tricky.
Yeah, it's not very nice of him, is it?
No.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an earth shield here on Medora to protect her. These guys do poison damage, so that's going to help her against the poison damage. I have 1 action point left, and this guy is going to actually try to counter. He's going to make it rain. Let's see what happens if that works.
Make it rain?
Yeah, well, there's a dust storm, so...
Over here.
The rain is not really working in this particular instance because of the dust storm, of course. I should have thought of that. Alright, so let's see. I'm going to try to knock it down with using the Hand of God. See if that works. So I was hoping to create a water surface here, which I would have then be able to electrify. But as usual, the game is not listening to me.
Yeah, these environmental spells, it's really interesting how dynamic they are. I think you showed me it being electrocuted, and then you were able to put down water and freeze it as well, so enemies would fall down and be stunned for a turn.
So that was I was hoping for to show you, but it's not going to work because of the dust storm. I hadn't thought of that. Alright, let me go further. Okay, I got them in range now, so I hope that we're going to be able to get rid of the guy. He's pretty tough, actually.
Yeah, now I believe I saw before that your mage was able to summon an elemental, and then different elementals have different strengths and weaknesses against different kinds of enemies, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So in this particular case, she actually has poisoned it, but this spider is being healed by poison, so that wasn't very clever. But my explosive arrow here did the job well. So we killed 1 spider, but there's one thing I learned out of this combat is I'm not really ready for spiders, especially not in a group. So I should actually tactically retreat. But let's see what happens. So let me show you an example of because we were talking about perception first. So here's Medora, right? She has no perception whatsoever, and she's wet also now. So she's walking. Well, actually, I think that's a very bad idea to go over here because I see there's more eggs. I think. Let me go through. Yeah, there you go. So there's plenty of X, so we don't want to go that way. So let's try to go the other way around also. See what that gives. And she's not going to be aware of ambushes and stuff like that. Whereas my other guy, who has his perception skill up, is going to... There's some more X over there. He's going to be aware of it. And so he wouldn't have fallen for this particular trap here. So that's not very good of her. So what I can do... And this is one of the neat features of the game, is that I can jump away from that particular combat. So she's now fighting with all those burrowing spiders, and the fight is going on in real time, in turn-based, so it's their turn. But I can actually switch to real-time play over here, control my characters,
and bail her out or do something.
Yeah, so she could, for instance, she has this flee perk, so she could hit the flee button, which is going to take her to the closest waypoint or closest tavern. So she's back at the village now, whereas the other guys are still over there. All right,
nice. And so very interesting how you can split up your party and kind of multitask. It's not something you usually see in these kinds of games, and it allows you to tackle things in kind of a dynamic way.
Yeah, it's another consequence of having to design it also for allowing you to play in multiplayer. And actually, I find that it strengthens the single-player gameplay. So here I'm sneaking. I'm going to try to sneak past these guys here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase my sneak ability. So
the joys of developer cheats.
yeah, but I'm not even sure. You know what? I'm not even going to actually try to give me.
God, you can see the list of perks that you have here. It's unbelievable. Like we've seen Pet Pal, but I mean, there's so many other perks here.
I don't. This one is called Pussyfooter. It's a bit of a bad name, but it allows me to have even extra stealth, and I think I need it in this particular case because these guys can actually.
You got this.
No. Yeah. Well.
Keep
all right.
Keep going. You got this.
All right, that worked.
Fun.
I'm doing it. I'm totally doing this. All right. So yeah, I managed. Excellent. All right.
Tense.
So here's the thing. I got these teleporter pyramids, all right, and I got them from an imp, and he told me that these pyramids allow you to teleport to where you place them. So let me, for instance, demonstrate. Well, I'll move this over here. I'll put the pyramid over here on the ground. And so when I go here and I use my pyramid, then you will see that I'm teleporting to it. Awesome. Now I have another perk, which is called Magic Pockets. So I can take my pyramid and I can give it to Scarlet here, for instance. So if I then...
Scarlet's a little bit far away. How'd you do that?
Well, it's Magic Pockets, so my imp controls the dimensions. So she's... Well, actually, I should have given it to her. Okay, well, let's do it this way. So Scarlet... No, you don't. Stay here. So she's going... did I? No. Okay, where's Scarlet? Sorry. Did I give her the... I didn't give her the pyramid. Right, I lost track here for a second. Hold on. Let me do it again.
This interdimensional inventory thing is
yeah, it's still in development, so it's not 100% that handy yet, but it's coming. So see all the loot that I have here. So actually, I wonder if I actually even picked it up.
I think it's a really cool idea too because it plays into the lore of the game a little bit, like the interdimensional gate. As much as this is a fantasy game, that kind of cosmic level kind of dimensional travel is a part of the lore, right? So it fits into the lore really well as being an interesting perk to have functionality wise.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, we've paid a lot of attention of trying to make sure that everything would make sense in the game. So if I'm right now, yeah, there you go. That's what I wanted to do. So I brought them back together. So I had basically my rogue survivor ranger sneak through, and then using these pyramids, I got the entire party over this particular obstacle.
Awesome.
And so we managed to navigate through.
Cool.
So I'm going to go forth here, and I want to show you something because there's a lot of talk about social skills in RPGs not having a lot of value.
Yeah, they're never fun. They almost never feel rewarding or powerful.
Yeah, so we paid a lot of attention to it, and like even big boss battles, if you're high level enough, you can actually talk your way out. So for instance, here we have Spider Matriarch, and she's badass. So she's going to trigger me in a conversation, and I know now, because I charmed, intimidate, reasoned with the goblin before, that she's susceptible to charm. So that's going to give me a bonus roll. My perception is not high enough to see the values here, so I don't know them, but I know it by questing a little bit and actually weaseling it out of him. Unfortunately, I also know that my charm is not high enough, my charm ability. So if you look at my ability here, it's... where is it? Well, I can actually try, but
come on, you can sweet talk the spiders, Sven.
Well, I got 3, and there should be a Prince Charming ability somewhere. A perk, sorry, Prince Charming. So that's going to up it to 4, I think. So, I don't know. I think it's 5, to be honest.
You got to roll that 20. Come on.
Let's see. No, be that as it may, each and all of our children must learn to respect station. And so we enter into this big combat, which in my case, well, I can try, but I'm not really sure.
Give it a college try.
Okay, I'm going to give it a try, but I need my friends then. So I'm going to... well, I can't use the pyramids, of course. So they're going to join in combat. And so we're going to try it together, right?
So the combat is turn-based. You've got action points that you can spend or save every turn.
Yeah.
And everyone's got, we can see like a pretty wide variety of skills. Is there a class system in that kind of dictates the combat, Sven?
It's actually classless. So you can pretty much put your points in anything you want, but obviously some specialization happens automatically because you are there's so much stuff that you can do, but there are requirements and things get better in function of well, I'll give you an example. Like she's a fire mage, right? the more intelligence she has, the less action points she's going to need for her fire elemental spells. And she also has a fire elementalist ability, which is going to dictate which type of skill books she can learn, how much damage she's going to do with her fire spells, and so forth. And like this for every single option that you have in the game. You will find that there are abilities, that there are stat points, so you have to think about what you do with this.
A lot of numbers to crunch and a lot of choices to make. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, so there are really a lot of choices to make. Like, for instance, this guy is my ranger, so I just created the steam cloud here, hoping to obfuscate their vision, and I'm going to cast a poisonous thing. I'm trying to get rid of these eggs, right, before they hatch. And so, yeah, what she's doing now, she's making it rain poison, which is really annoying because her little spiders are going to be healed by all that poison. So that's really... but good thing is that she's on fire, so that helps. So you see that he's poisoned, but he gets this little blue thing, which means he's actually being healed and he's not burning. But
because spiders are they like poison.
Yeah, exactly. This guy has to safeguard his action points. I need more action points. I really need more action points.
Yeah, that sandstorm is like becoming a problem.
Yeah. So the thing is, the poison here, I can transform it into fire, so that's good. And so I'm going to create poison clouds out of it. You see?
Oh, nice.
But poison is actually not what is interesting for me. What I actually I'm going to I tried this a long time since I tried this. This should work actually. Yeah, there you go. I created a static cloud. So that steam cloud, I put electricity on it. So I created a static cloud. If they walk into it now, they're going to be stunned. So that's going to teach them or keep them. And actually, you know what? I'm going to try, but I don't have enough action points. Can I? If that's going to work, target too far. I'm going to try to charm one. That's not going to really work. What's she doing now? Oh, that's no. I told you it wasn't a really good idea to get into this fight. Just keeps on summoning these guys.
Fortune favors the brave, Sven.
But I want to... there we go. All right. Okay, this is going to be really bad. Oh, yeah. So, go away. Too far. Go away. There you go. I teleported her.
That's really cool because spells like that almost never work on bosses in most RPGs. It's like the really cool, fun spells that only work on the little minions, and you have to use like the kind of not so interesting ones on the bosses. That's really cool too.
I don't like that. I mean, it's because there's, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to win this fight though.
Could you have teleported her into the static cloud?
I could have actually. That's a good idea.
Next time.
Well, actually, but I wish that. You know what's really annoying? What's really annoying is that I don't have enough action points with this bloody storm that's going on. And so now she's going to heal herself because she walked into the fight. Oh,
this is a bad day.
Yeah, this is not a good day.
Okay, well, we don't want to sit here and watch you get eaten. You've put on a valiant effort, though, for us, Sven. Game looks very interesting. Lots of old-school Baldur's Gate style depth and decision-making, both in the role-playing elements and in the combat elements, and great production values. Like, we haven't had a game like this that looks quite like this in a long time. So, very exciting for old-school RPG fans. When can they get their hands on the full retail version?
I think it's going to be coming out this spring. We don't want to put an exact date on it because we've moved it already a few times. Sure. But we're starting to feel confident that we can manage this spring.
Awesome. Well, Sven, it's been a pleasure to have you. Divinity Original Sin is looking great. And remember, everyone watching, for everything you need to know about Divinity Original Sin, keep it locked right here to IGN.